All right.
All right, we got Coach Jason Mai from Alabama A&M next. Coach, excited to hear what you got. Take it away.
All right. Let me pull this up here. This will actually work right here. Okay. So starting out, my name is Jason Mai. I'm the quarterbacks coach and a whole bunch of other things at Alabama A&M University. We're FCS school in Huntsville, Alabama. We've had the number one offense in the conference for the last 3 years, top 5 offense in the country the last 3 years. Our quarterback is some of the different draft ranking deals have him as top 10 in this class. So played in the NFLPA Bowl and did really well and picked up a lot of steam. And so now, I can't get him to answer the phone. No, I'm kidding. So talking a little bit about practice, for us with our quarterbacks, it's really, really service oriented. What I mean by that is we're really service obligated. We don't get a whole lot of free individual time. And so we find ourselves really trying to find ways to get the absolute most out of what little bit of individual time I get, because the majority of my time is really spent in either servicing, inside run or backfield action with the running backs or routes on air with the receivers or whatever else that could possibly go that way that day. So these are a couple of the drills and things that I like to use. The biggest thing, though, we talk about, we're not biggest thing, but the biggest things when it comes to our guys at practice, first and foremost, we really coach the film. I try to talk to them as much as I can, the guys that are not in behind me, obviously, but we're not going to stop a lot of plays. We just don't have time. If you look at our practice schedule I have here, everything once we get up to 7-on-7, that timeline really becomes imaginary. It's really hitting your plays because you've only got so many reps with these guys each day before we've got to get them off the field, get them out of there, get to class and everything else. So in some cases, I think some of you guys, high school guys, have more time with them than we're able to really kind of get, unless we're going to push it into the evening and stuff like that. So coaching quarterbacks, one of the big things, keep it in perspective. And what I mean by perspective is keep it in the perspective they're going to see in the game. We do a lot of our 11-on-11, 7-on-7, team apart. We want to clear the field except for myself and the quarterbacks behind. We have a drone, or we have a bunch of drones. That's some of the best coaching footage you could possibly get. Love it to death. And so, it's one of those things that right now we're in a position where we're fortunate enough to have a couple of kids that can fly them, get them up behind all of our group drills. And so it makes it for a good picture, but I still want my guys down there behind me so they can see the reads as the starter's seeing it, as it's happening, as opposed to standing on the sideline doing God knows what. For us in the quarterback room, practice is an extension of our meetings. So everything that we're doing in practice is really built on as an extension of what we had just talked about before we went out. And then everything that we did in practice is just an extension of what we're going to talk about when we get back into the meeting room before they head to class or after they get out of class, whichever it may be. Fundamentally, when you get them to this level, you'd be surprised sometimes how bad the fundamentals can be. For us, particularly, like I said, with quarterbacks, we'll do a lot of our fundamental work in camp and in the spring. And that's really pre-practice and Indian camp and in the spring. We really don't want to tweak too much fundamental stuff during the season. It's really more just kind of hitting, greasing the gears and hitting what we need to hit to kind of take what we, the entirety of the game plan and shrink it down into 1 or 2 reads or whatever it may be. Everything for us builds from Indy up to 11-on-11. So if there's a particular concept or particular read that we're trying to work that week. In Indy, that may be that is probably going to be in my progression drills. More than likely, it's going to be part of my first step or something along those lines. It's going to go, I'm probably hit it again 7-on-7, and then make sure we get it at least twice in 11-on-11 if we can. It's one of those things where if we can take the 65 pages that we make our scouting reports and game plans, and guys, we can make this thing really complicated and try to shrink it down into, hey, it's really just this read. Take the pre-snaps, take the the indications, and then work to just one or two read defenders. So for pre-practice, before we go to practice, before we leave the meeting room, generally what happens, we talk about eliminate the surprises that the quarterback can control. And what I mean by that is they're going to have the same script. Pull it up here. Can you guys see it? They're going to have the same script that I have.
Yeah, we see it, Coach. Sorry, I was muted.
You're good.
Yeah,
So they're going to have the same script that I have and the rest of the coaches have prior to practice. They'll see it. Usually, if we'll get it done in the afternoon after practice. We practice in the morning, so in the afternoon we'll get the script done. I'll usually send it out to them as a PDF for the first time as soon as it gets typed out. Then prior to actually going out, either that night or in the morning before we go out, they'll get just a hand-drawn version of it. Like the iPad and Apple Pencil have been a godsend for me because I can sit there, draw them out, and then just duplicate the page, send it over. And in some cases, I'll do it as a Zoom meeting just like this, where I'm recording myself as I'm doing it and talking myself through the reads or talking them through the reads. In some cases, they're on the Zoom meeting with me. It's not mandatory, so whatever. But they are able to see everything before they go out. So that's kind of eliminating the surprises that we can control. Make sure they know what they're going to run. We build in the surprises that they cannot control. Things that we've seen on film or things that we've seen or situations that we've seen where we want to test whether or not he's really paying attention. So it may be something as simple as just bumping a front. It may be something like setting a certain blitz a certain way or giving a coverage that we're not going to see. We'll put that into our team apart script. We won't talk about it, or we'll talk about it, but we won't draw it out so he knows what to do. We just want to see if he will make the adjustment, will make the check, et cetera, et cetera. Like I say, give them what you have them, give them the scripts. Rep and drive count, that's really big. We talk about that a lot. We'll get in the room and we'll talk about, okay, Quill, you're going to take 8 7-on-7 reps today, 5 reps in inside, 12 reps in team apart, and then 2 drives in this. And so they know what to expect. They can almost count it out and see and know what they're going to be dealing with as they walk out. So, and then last thing, err on the side of stupid. For the quarterback, that's a mantra. We'll sit in our meeting room all the time and Coach, I didn't know if I should say something. All right, well, err on the side of stupid. Assume that the person that's out there is stupid, and you're going to have to tell them. Because if not, you're the one that's going to get hit. You're the one that's going to, look like an idiot. So you're better off erring on the side of stupid. And we talk about that as coaches as well. Err on the side. Assume that the kid doesn't know. Overcoach it. That way, they know, or the best you can hope. Our warm-up principles, pretty simple. We want to use textbook mechanics in warm-ups. Mechanically speaking, if I recruited you with a certain release, I'm generally not going to try to change that very much, especially during the season. That's, like I said, that's going to be a spring and a camp thing. But during the warm-up process, I want you to warm up with textbook mechanics. The best textbook mechanics that you can in order to kind of get there. So if you're focused on it there, when we get as we working our way through 7-on-7 or routes on air or whatever it may be, if you focused on it in Indy during warm-up, then it'll eventually transition over. It may not completely change, but you may be able to make your release a little bit more efficient. Because to me, that's efficiency is everything when it comes to release. You can have a sidearm release. I don't care as long as you're efficient with it and accurate. So we limit the throw count. It's not necessarily because of trying to save the arm or anything like that. It's just we don't want to create a situation where we've overworked a particular throw. It's just more being focused, trying to get the most out of the X amount of throws during the warm up that we have. I always tell my guys, find your rhythm. What I mean by that is, we're on the clock, but find your rhythm and get yourself comfortable to where you're ready to start throwing. Being a quarterback coach is 90% being a psychiatrist. You're out there really trying to work in between their ears more than anything else. So, if I'm trying to rush you through every little itty bitty warm up throw and things like that, you're not ready, we're going to have problems. I really try to use that warm up period that we have in pre-practice as a chance for them to kind of get themselves up and ready to kind of attack practice, especially as intense as practice can get for us. Relax. Always talk about that. Use good breathing techniques. Stay calm, relax. Don't get all hyper. Never get too up, never get too down during our warm-up. And I really try to carry that over into everything we do. We're going to exaggerate the throwing motion. That goes back to textbook mechanics. Ball security. Even in the warm-up period, I'll walk around and I'll slap at footballs or, shove the guys or whatever it may be, just to get them, thinking about protecting the football. We say TCB means take care of the ball all the time. It's constant. And so it's one of those things that we had to actually build in another ball security drill last year, year before last, as part of regular Indy, just to knock out a couple minutes, but it also just to get them thinking about keeping that ball secured all the time. The last one, be a passer, not just a thrower. That's huge. We talk about calling our shot and warm up all the time. So if I'm 10 yards, 15 yards away throwing, I'm calling left shoulder, right shoulder, face mask, chest, whatever it may be, every throw. Even if I'm doing it, low enough towards just hearing me saying it to myself, it doesn't matter. I'm constantly throwing to a small spot all the time, constantly. All right, so once we get out of free practice warm-up, then we go into our actual, what little bit of individual time we have. And the first thing I do every individual session is bags. Now, I could lie to you and tell you that I do bags because of some footwork thing or whatever. The reality of it is I just want to get them moving. We've gone through a warm-up process where they're kind of out there standing stationary. They move a little bit. We do some pat and go, again, moving a little bit. This is my chance to get them moving and really get them awake. When you start practice at 5:30 in the morning, pre-practice starts at 5 o'clock. It seems like it's inching closer to 5 o'clock now. They're not awake. They're not ready yet. So they come in the morning, we do a really good job when they get in of trying to get them some nutrition, to get them something in them on the way out. And then, get out there to pre-practice and they kind of, jump around, move around a little. But the bags thing for me is just really to get them going. The second part to it is the first 5 to 10 minutes of Indy is probably when the head coach is going to come over and ask me about something that I put on the script or the schedule. Generally, I have a note section for him right here that I fill up with stuff. So it'll be that or something to do with the schedule. Odds are the first 5 minutes practice when he's going to do it. So that's when we're doing bags. Helps me a little bit. It's also most likely the time that I'm going to catch a filmer running down or another coach needing or equipment guy or something, Bob, something coming to grab me. So that's when I can kind of tell the GA, okay, keep your eye right here while I'm talking to the coach or while I'm dealing with this. But for us, it's move your feet, get your eyes downfield, get the ball up in a good carriage position, stay off the bags, move around. The guys get to a point where they really like it. We have a base set that we work here. It's pretty simple. We're essentially just going to work their way through. Now, it's one of those mornings, again, just moving through the bags. Now, right there, we got our eyes. We want to get our eyes up. You'll see me jump the ball, pop their eyes up when I say get up. But they're moving their way through. It's really kind of repetitive getting through. But again, getting their feet moving, getting them moving around, stuff like that. So every day, it's just all the time. Now, as time progresses, we'll get into this where while they're moving, that's one of our GAs right there. they'll start taking swipes at the ball, things like that, just to try to get each other to fumble. It becomes a game, but it's also a great ball security tactic. So next thing we always do is ball security. It's a 2-minute drill, but it's probably the 2 most important minutes that I've ever built into one of a very simple drill. All right. So we're essentially going to walk with the ball, wrist above the elbow, lock the ball away, and we walk the 5 yards while the other quarterbacks and the coaches try to punch the ball out. It's not a whole lot to it. It's not very scientific, but as I can show you, when we get into this film here, it's very important. So right here, this is our starting quarterback. I think this is his sophomore year. He had a tendency to, when he ran, let me see if I can see it from the tights a little better. You'll see the ball, his elbow kind of swing back, the ball get off of his body, the wrist will come below the elbow. And as he's running around like here, there's a loose football and boom, and we go fumble. Get later on, here's another one, same thing. I want to say this is sophomore, or it could be for not sophomore year. Same deal. Now we're moving around the pocket. We talk about when we're moving in the pocket, we want 2 hands in the football. Again, right here, getting kind of loose with it. So getting a bad situation, we fumble the football. So we institute a simple drill. It's not very scientific. It's not real high impact, but the idea behind it is that these guys are going to hawk at that ball as much as they can as a quill walks the 10 yards through the back of the end zone to the front. Very simple. First thing, second thing we do every morning. Not a huge deal, punching away at it. They get to making it a joke and goofing, but honestly, it's worked wonders because now here we are junior year. All right, same thing. Running with the football, elbow stays a little bit tighter, right? Just above wrist staying above the elbow staying tight to the body, using pressure, getting there, and at that moment of impact, squeezing down on that football, stands up, much better, much better. I mean, a year before that, I'd have said, or 2 years before that, he's going to fumble that football and I'm going to freak out. So that's how we generally get going. The next thing we do is what we call situational steps. Situational steps are whatever step we're working that day or whatever happens to be an issue at that moment. A good example of it here, it's usually going to be a 1 step per day. It's one situation. We're going to use 1 read at the very most, and we're going to expect a perfect throw or a perfect execution by the time we get through the step. Now, a good example of that here we're just going to clear a mesh and try to throw an RPO. Now my quarterback here is better from the tight. Quarterback here is going to run into the running back, right? So for us, normally we would say clear the mesh. It's a clear the mesh step, but we're going to step back around and make our throw so we can clear that running back as we're trying to make the throw out here. And then if we're going to miss, we're going to miss downfield, or we're going to miss on the downfield shoulder, right? So what we'll do is I'll walk out there and be the DB. We're going to simulate that we're clearing this mesh to throw, whatever the trigger may be. Maybe it a blitz, it could be just free access. It doesn't, it just depends. In this case right here, we're just working free access. So if the corner's staying off, I'm going to step back. The quarterback is just going to simulate stepping back and around, step and throw. And we'll do that 3 to 4, maybe 5 times, then turn around, let the next guy go, work our way through. What ends up happening is we've done it. And again, it's 1 step and it happened maybe second week of the season, but we hammered it home for that 5-10 minutes so hard that it becomes second nature, where we can eliminate some of the small mechanical errors that are happening when we're trying to, run the offense by just working on that one thing at a time. All right. Next thing we're going to talk about, one of my favorite drills, dodgeball. Dodgeball was really designed for me or for us because our quarterbacks had a tendency to try to flush and take big exaggerated movements in the pocket. And what we were trying to hammer home was that as fast as these things happen, I need you to keep a solid base. Yes, I want you to avoid, a rush. That's fine. But I don't need you to take 3 steps to the right to avoid somebody that you can move over 6 inches to the right and reset and make your throw. So the first thing, one of the things we did here, we set the guys inside of a box. I'll jump to it. We'll come back to that. We set the guys inside of a 4-cone box. And I started out with a football, which is, normal size football. Put the other 2 quarterbacks behind him. And all I'm going to ask them to do is stand in there in a ready to throw position. This is actually the first time we ran the drill. and I'm going to 5 to 10 yards away, I'm just going to throw the ball past him. And all I'm asking him to do when I'm in this head-on position is step to the right or the left. I'm not asking him to step up. I'm not asking him to flush left, flush right. I'm asking him to take 1 to 2 steps to change his position in the pocket to avoid the football. All right, it's really simple, but it helps these guys to understand that they can avoid some of these guys reaching with hands with 1 step. Now, again, this is the first time we threw the football, and what happens? Instinctually, he just bends, freezes, So I laughed at him a little bit. We reset, re-explain, and there we go. We get that first step, get out of the way, we get back to where you were. Second step, get out of the way, we get back to where you were. Then we'll rotate through. Each guy will go. And again, we started out with footballs because they're really big and easy to avoid. Later on, we'll progress to beanbags, and then eventually to tennis balls. Now, it's not one of these situations where, I'm chucking the thing at them as hard as I can. It's not a situation where I'm trying to hurt anybody or anything like that. It's just avoid the bag. I don't have to make it a big deal. One of the big things that we try to avoid when we're doing this, though, is becoming mechanical, where I'm throwing to the left once, then to the right, then to the left, then to the right, because again, it just becomes a dance. The quarterback's bouncing back and forth, no big deal. So I'll double up one side, double up the other side. It's one of those things to kind of break that rhythm in his mind, where all he's really trying to do is react to the movement. Now we'll combine the drill. We'll start adding deeper throws to it. We'll add, we'll add like a point read where we'll say, hey, left, right, after we get the last bag out, whatever it may be, where he can resettle his feet and throw. But the idea behind it is, again, just avoid the small target. Think of it as a hand reaching for you. Move out of the way as opposed to trying to flush left, flush right, stay in the line of fire. Now, a variation of it, I'll move to the side here. This is the front end of it. And again, all I'm asking him to do here when I'm at this angle is go forward or back. So now we're talking step up or fade back, right? We get a wide rush coming up. Obviously, we want to step up, but I don't want them to get to a position where they're stepping all the way up into the center or all the way up into more pressure. Step up into a clean area of the pocket and get ready to throw. Same thing when we're trying to fade back. I don't want to get into a situation where I'm fading back and then turning and running out. I'm just stepping back, resetting my feet, ready to throw. So here if I throw at the front shoulder, we're going to fade back. If I throw at the back shoulder, you're going to step up. Just like that. Real simple. Now we'll rake the ball, whatever we need to do in between, but it's just easy drill, get them used to moving. And just so many guys come to me and they, they'll step up. Yeah, but they'll step up like 3 steps and end up right up with the center in their lap. It's a terrible feeling, so you want to get to a position where these guys are used to minimizing movement to avoid rush if they can. Then we'll work to the blind side, which is a little bit more difficult. My angle here is pretty bad. I should probably be a little further up this way, just again to get the movement back and forth. And like I said, we started out doing it with footballs. And in this case right here, we're going to see this is Justin. He's jumping back and forth and he's going to misjudge. So on that last one, where I had been going originally front, back, I just doubled up front. He made a mistake, slid up into it. And it's one of those things, easy to correct, and it gets him to thinking about it as opposed to turning it into a dance. It paid for us. Again, in this situation right here, we're going to see 2 wide rushes. Instead of stepping up and getting up into somebody else, we're just going to step up into a clean launch point, get the ball off, as opposed to sitting there trying to slide up, and now we've gotten out of range of our throw. So we're here, pop back up, ready to go, get the ball out. All right, so the next thing we'll talk about is man rush. Now, instead of dodging, tennis balls and beanbags and footballs, now we're going to actually bring a rush to you. This is more designed for, straight ahead rush or right off the edge, where we're essentially just trying to step up, find a clean area, and possibly find a step up lane. All right, so we start with 1-man rush, and what I do here, I have 2 quarterbacks set out here ready to rush. and then I have my quarterback here. Now, generally, I'll have a target for him to throw to somewhere out there. All I'm going to do is tell which one of these guys I want to go, and whichever one goes has a one of two ways to go. So if it's, let's say it's Justin here, he can go inside track, in which case quarterback can step around him, right? Or he can go outside track, and we'll have our quarterback just step up and settle up in the pocket ready to throw. So here I'm going to have a quill go. He's going to take the outside track. Now see right there, that's two movements, a little bit more than what we needed. What we want to do is settle on the back foot here, and then TJ should have just stepped up or raked up, set up in the pocket, ready to go and throw to the next guy. Now Justin's a little bit late there, but as he takes a step there, we see Quill just step around, set up, and he's ready to throw the football. Again, just trying to get back to a neutral position, not necessarily flushing one way or the other. The next step in that one is we're going to go to a two-man rush. Now we're going to bring two guys, 2 of 3, and the quarterback is going to set up and adjust to those two guys out of the pocket. So in this case, we've got our inside rush coming from here, our outside rush coming from this side. This guy's staying home. Quarterback should be keeping his eyes down the field. See those guys, feel that rush, find that hole right there, step up and in. Now Josh right there, tensed up. I hate it when he does that, but he's going to tense up there. He'll step up and then get back into a clean pocket, ready to throw. And here I'm trying to, I'm still putting the drill in at this point. So now we're bringing both from the edges. Again, it's just defeating the first and then the second. So Quill does a good job stepping around him, step up, find a clean pocket, ready to throw. So now we've got 2 wide rushes. He's just going to step up, settle up in the pocket, and then be able to make his throw. And again, we just don't want him to get into a position where he's sliding way up in here. He settles, finds a throw, and again, it's just defeating the 2-man rush. Same thing here. Now we're not getting the interior. We peripheral see the side pressure here. We've got a guy going to step around. So we're just going to take a 1-step move up, hit our back foot, and then throw to a guy who was uncovered for some reason. Then the last evolution of that is we're going to go to finding the check down. We had a really bad habit of trying to delay a play out or stretch a play out and then, getting sacked when we had a running back standing by himself. Here's a good picture of it right here, as a matter of fact. So again, we step up, we're looking downfield. There's literally nobody covering this guy. Now, at some point, that alarm has to go off in your head, and usually that should be right about now. Again, extra movement doesn't help us either. You still 2 extra hop steps moving forward there, get you too close to the line of scrimmage. But that extra movement, that alarm doesn't go off in his head. He's not looking, and now, bam, we end up getting sacked and end up fumbling the football. Another example of it here. We're going to see him overextend and flush out to the left. Again, here's your check down. If you're flushing, your eyes need to stay downfield, and we should really be looking to find that check down. In this case, he throws the ball away, saves a bad play, but that could have all been avoided when everything dropped out like that, saying, hey, I'm just going to go ahead and take my check down and throw the ball down here low. So what we do is we add on to the 3-man rush, and then we put our check down defender here. So the quarterback avoids the 3-man rush, finds the step-up lane, settles. Now, right here, he doesn't do a good job settling because he's messing with me. But settles and then throws the ball to his check down. Now, we'll adjust that by having the check down drift one way or the other. So in some cases, I'll have the quarterback looking to this side of the field. I'll have the quarterback looking to this side of the field. As he steps up in that lane, gets settled, and then the check down start drifting away, I'll yell, find it. He'll reset his feet, come over here and throw the check down. Same thing the other way. It's just one of those situations where having the situational awareness of knowing where that check down is going to be, understanding, okay, that alarm's going off in my head. I can't beat this rush no more. Let me go ahead and put the ball down to the check down and get the ball out of my hand. So the situational awareness of that, for instance, here, again, our eyes are over here on the other side of the field. He starts to feel the pressure. Okay, I'm going to settle down. I'm going to find the check down, get the ball out of my hand. To me, that's one of the biggest differences in him from junior to senior year, doing this thing where we're just looking for the check down, where these were situations where he might have taken a shot that he shouldn't have. Just go ahead and throw it to the guy that's standing by himself and get what we can get out of it. Here's another good example of it. So in this case, we're in empty. Our check down is going to come from this number 2 receiver over here. So the quarterback's got his eyes. He scanned from left to right, didn't have what he wanted, starts to feel that pressure. And again, it's just finding that step-up lane, settle up, and then give the check down the ball. A lot of movement there. A whole lot of movement going on there. All right, then the next step in that for us is and one. Again, from one day, we may do 2 of them on Tuesday, 2 of them on Wednesday. Thursday, we may do and one. And one is really what it sounds like in basketball. It came from when we're shooting around in the gym one day. One of the basketball guys, every time we go to shoot a field goal or something, he would tap that arm after you threw it or after you shot it. It caused you to overshoot. Got to thinking about it, said, okay, this is what we're going to do. What we want to do is we're going to take a hand shield as the quarterback is throwing, and it could just be while he's doing just warming up. It could just be when we're doing routes on air, whatever it may be. And we're just going to use the hand shield to give him a bump or a push or a shove, right? And the idea is for him to understand that no matter what's happening, when you're going to take a shot, a lot of guys are going to short arm and then not follow through with their throw. We really want you to drive that ball through, drive that shoulder through, follow through. Don't change the throwing motion. Don't change the acceleration. Just throw the ball like you would throw the ball. Let your body adjust. If you tense up or anything, we're going to be in trouble. So what we do, this is how it really kind of started. He'll take a snap. I'll just pop him with the ball. He'll reset, go again, just pop him with the pad. Again, all I'm doing is pushing him a little bit. Yes, it's throwing him off balance, absolutely. But at the same time, he's just following through. Now, it teaches him not to tense up, or hopefully will help him keep him from tensing up. And then on the other hand, it kind of builds a psychological self-confidence in the situation. Like, hey, I can get pumped, I can get pushed around, shoved around, I can deliver the ball. So again, we're just moving around. As time progresses, I start doing it in pregame. I'm pushing them during the warm-up and pregame when we're doing routes on air. I generally like to take a shot at the hips every once in a while just to take the legs out of the equation, so they'll still feel the release and find that, and find their rhythm in the throw. And then, if he's pissing me off that day, I can go a little bit harder. So as we got to doing that, now in this situation, again, you got 6-man at least. Hold on. You got really 7-man pressure, right? So we know we're going to take one, okay? Does a great job settling in. And then, like I said, just following through with the throw. And in this case, he's actually wrapped his arm around the defender and used the defender's body to almost leverage himself into the ground. Again, right there, you see it with his right hand comes through and he drives that arm down and through. Now, As he does that, the shoulder comes down and he's actually able to wrap around and kind of hold on and use the defender to kind of harness him into the ground. Now here we're going to see it off of a mesh where we're throwing a screen. Again, defender's coming through his chest. There's nothing he can do. So what he's going to just settle his feet, drive the arm through as best you can, and then again, grab on the defender and hold on your way down. Delivers a great ball. Let's see if I can see it. It's better from this end zone. So we're here, boom. And again, just using the defender, holding on, bringing that arm through. Don't change the throwing motion. Just give him a throw. So here we're going to flush. He knows it's coming. He's really just trying to buy a little bit of time, get himself into an open position to throw the ball. And then again, he's going to bring that arm through on the release, even though he's pedaling, bring that arm through, off balance, deliver the throw. So the last drill we'll talk about is progression. Progression for me is my favorite drill. It's really, for all intents and purposes, an easy way to get to remind the quarterbacks that most of our reads break down to 1 or 2 people. We're going to pre-snap, yes, no somebody. We're going to have a rat that indicates which side we're going to. But after that, it's 1 to 2 guys. And what we're essentially trying to do is create that cat and mouse game. So I'll set the receivers where they're supposed to be it, and I don't, it could be quarterbacks being the receivers, coaches can be the receivers, managers, whatever. Put 3 of them out there. And then we're just going to we're going to indicate the 2 defenders and have them just jump between the different receivers. And all we're doing as a quarterback is we're getting back into our drop and we're going through our progression as if we're reading those defenders. It's great because if you know who your first look is, for instance, the hang route, then, when the defender rolls away, I'm taking a hang route. I'll see the defender grab it. The next time I do it, okay, I'm going to work out to the curl flat. Again, it's an easy way to teach progressions. It makes it real for them, especially when you let them be the defenders or you have them as the receivers because they kind of see it from both sides. And again, it reminds them that we're breaking this thing all the way down to you're really only reading 1 or 2 people. We can combine it with other drills. We can add one, or we can add one to this where we'll do it as rapid fire. We'll have the defenders moving around and trying to get reset and just essentially still be, bumping the quarterback, or we can add it with, different drops and things like that, just to see that we use it for our RPO game. I mean, it works with a lot of our stuff. And it's the same thing. I've just set my 3 receivers up. I have my 2 people. It can be a coach and you. It can be another quarterback, whatever it is be. And we're just going to have him. We give them 1 or 2 places to go. And then the quarterback's just going through his progression. So as he's coming through his drop, this is curl flat. We've been running since the 70s, I'm pretty sure. Start in the middle, linebacker grabs, work out to your curl flat defender, makes it an easy throw, time it up. And again, we're just throwing to spots. One of the things I tell when they're throwing, I don't want the receiver to have to move. You're spot throwing, you're using that defender's movement to spot throw and find the guy in the progression. We're not going to add a whole bunch of extra to that. So right here, Mike linebacker bails out. We're going to take the throw. Again, we'll add to that. We'll put, we'll do it as rapid fire. We'll do it with pressure coming at them. We'll use hot throws, whatever it may be. But again, we're just really trying to break it down so that they understand it's really still just reading 1 to 2 guys. It's not a big deal. It helps them become more efficient. Now, right here, Justin's a little bit all over the place with his throws, but it's one of those things. As he's doing it, we're talking it through. Hey, oh, you're high there. Hey, your elbow drop, whatever it may be. Again, just working his way through here. We're just working whips. So now both linebackers clear. He's going to settle on Mike. Reset his feet, come back to it, settle on Mike. Now he drops off. Now that brings him back to the 3rd guy. And again, this is very simple. Okay, so now the first guy comes, the first reading the progression comes open. Now he should be able to pop and throw. It's one of those situations where, each throw's timing it just helps get that going, gets the guys in the situation where they're going to be able to go through these progressions quickly and efficiently. and get their way through it. Oops. So this is spring. I definitely had to be spring because I had a bunch of quarterbacks in spring. Same thing, just working his way through. We'll add bad snaps into it just so that they'll have to adjust to that. Just working through the progressions. It doesn't always have to be running. It can be done at a walkthrough pace, whatever it needs to be. But it's one of those situations, a great teaching drill, and you can add so much to it. To me, it's just the best one for us. So, Coach, that's all I got. I know it's late. I'm probably keeping everybody up. So,
No, that's good, Coach. That was awesome. We needed some technical stuff. You know, a lot of the guys have done, you know, the head coach broad picture thing, and we needed some of that too. It's great stuff, man. Appreciate what you're doing a great job there.
yes, sir. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Take care.